Welcome back. We now sit down with one of the co-founders of YK Enterprises' upcoming seminar, the Corporate Climb, scheduled to take place on September 7, 2024. This empowering event is designed for aspiring leaders eager to elevate their careers by embracing a growth mindset, enhancing communication skills, and building a robust professional network. Joining us today is Stephen Yarukekuuro Ndorokaze, who will be hosting the seminar and guiding attendees through a day of insightful discussions and strategic workshops. We'll also delve into the perspectives on career growth, effective communication, and the importance of networking, as well as gain insight into what participants can expect from this highly anticipated event. Stephen, good evening and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Well, I've seen, the Corporate Climb all over social media, and there's quite a buzz around the seminar, this upcoming seminar. Talk to us about, or rather provide a brief overview of the Corporate Climb seminar, and also, of course, what the main objectives here are.
Yes, no, thank you very much. We actually overwhelmed and overexcited by the response that we have received thus far. And maybe the origin of it, what gave birth to it, it's a conversation between myself and Kazembire. It's within our entity called YK Enterprises, talking about, but what is it that we can give back? And then we said, from our corporate experience, there's definitely stories to be told. There's certainly lessons to be learned that we could then share. And that's really what we have done. We are providing an informal platform where we'll come and talk about what our path has been, respectively. But also we have invited other people that will then speak about the theory, if you like, the practice as it is currently, and what the future then holds. And what we're expecting people then to get out of it is ideas. You're not going to get it's not a panacea for anything. It's not a manuscript for anything. But definitely there should be ideas that you're getting from there as to how you should hone yourself through this process, and some of the things that when people are looking for people to promote, what are the things that they are looking at, or when they are looking at a team they are recruiting, or what are the things that they are looking at, and just that perspective. We're hoping the participants would then walk away with it and possibly implement some of it. Definitely not all of it, but we would be satisfied if you get one or two things that they can then follow up on with other literature and other authorities to build on.
You have quite an impressive lineup of speakers as well scheduled for the event, including Alex Shimwafeni, Rosalia Martins Haufiku, Ambassador Albertus Alchmub, just to mention a few. What specific insight or experiences do you expect each of these speakers to bring to the table?
And we're deeply, deeply indebted to them for availing themselves. Some of them, we're going to have them in the room on Saturday. But because of other prior commitments, others will not be in the room. But they have provided the content that we'll then be able to share with those that are in attendance. And when we're selecting people that to share this, what we are looking at, a balance between those that are in the growth path, who would have emerged from whether it's shop floor level to boardroom. But also others that have served in executive roles for a while. Because there's one to get there, and that's what we will be talking about. When we are sharing our experiences, we'll be talking about where we started and where we found ourselves. If somebody feels that there has been a climb of some sort, then they would obviously draw lessons from it. But there are people who are serving at the top, and they have experience, and that's what they will be sharing. For instance, Albertus Alchmub was probably one of the youngest chief executive officer at the time when he became a chief executive officer before joining the NBC. And that is now a journey traveled over possibly close to 20 years. Definitely he's got lessons to share as to how do you prepare yourself, how do you ensure that you remain relevant. But there's also a question as to when you get to the top, whether at executive level or chief executive level, how do you remain there? What are the things that you do? Because often we are told it becomes very lonely there. Because the people that are around you are no longer your peers because they are reporting to you. So what is it that you do? What networks do you maintain to ensure that you can grasp from other people and remain current and relevant?
As you just mentioned, the topic of growth and embracing a growth mindset is one of the key themes of this seminar. So how do you see a growth mindset impacting career progression and overall, professional development?
The main message that we'll be sharing is to say we never really do arrive. We are forever on a journey. We are forever on a developmental phase. We just need to determine what are the areas that we are going to develop on. For some people, technically, they will come in very competent. But then on the what others will call soft skills, but which I would prefer to call personal skills, might require some development. For instance, you get engineers who would qualify top of their class as engineers, but then you give them teams to lead, and leading teams become another story altogether. There's definitely growth to be made with regards to how do you then lead teams, even when you're technically competent. And those are some of the things that we'll be discussing to say, you can never claim that you have really attained the top of this development and relevance game, and it's a continuous process. So what you need to do is just to identify what are the areas that you're going to pay attention to. For some people, is leadership that they are going to focus on for a while before they look at the technical competence in the job. For other people who are gifted as far as leading people is, because there are some people who, when you give them teams without them saying anything, the mood is just there. The people that they are leading can already sense, they can already inspire them without much having been said. For them, you would probably want to look at, while you're doing that, while you're blending well with the team, are you attaining on the strategy? Are you delivering? Are you able to connect with others in the boardroom where you are functioning? Because you could be good with your teams, but when you're serving as an executive, you are not only no longer a head of department, but you actually become an executive of that institution. That also requires a different role and a different mandate and different activities that you need to perform.
On the topic of leadership, effective communication is also crucial for any leader. Are there any particular communication challenges that you believe are common amongst, aspiring leaders?
Yes, there's one way, for instance, all of us who, for one or the other reason, are interested in leadership positions. One thing that we should strive to do is to ensure that you take everybody along. And you can almost do that once you know how to communicate with everybody. One communication would never, or one mode of communication would never be enough for the entire team. There are some people who, when you are seated in the meeting and you communicate what the directions are, will get it and will deliver. For other people, you might need to go down to them and talk to them in such a way that what you're saying actually makes sense to them so that they can deliver for you and for the team and for the strategy. Because in the end, when you are in a corporate space, all you are actually attaining is the strategy of that organization. That's really the primary objective. The other things are by the way, but it's really the strategy that all efforts are geared towards to. But they need to understand how their contribution fits in and how it contributes to the attainment of the overall strategy of the entity. That is also part of the communication, because it's the leader's job to ensure that that is clear for that person. It would not matter in what capacity, in what role they are serving, but they need to know how important their role is to the attainment of the overall strategy. Yeah.
Network is also another key building block. How important, is networking in today's business environments?
And as an add-on to this event, that's what we are hoping we'll be presenting, that when the event comes to an end, which will be sometime around noon, around lunchtime, we're hoping that people will not be rushing to leave. And in that room, there would be people who are already at the top, if you like, chief executive officers. It would be an opportunity for somebody who ever wanted to think, how does it even feel to be in the capacity of a chief executive officer, to reach out to that person and ask, what is your personal experience? How has it been? There would also be young professionals who possibly are yet to get into managerial positions, and they would need to understand what are the things, what does it take to get into that. But also other people you might have seen in newspapers and elsewhere, and you have never really had a chance to meet, and they would be there in attendance, because what we are drawing, and I guess it's because of the speakers that we have drawn, that we're actually drawing from the list that I've seen now, the people that have indicated attendance and have bought the tickets. It's really, it cuts across. You can't say which sector, you can't say which region. There are even people that are indicating to us that they will be driving from outside Windhoek to come and attend, and we just humbled by that.
Stephen, share a bit about your own career journey and how you've applied the principles of a growth mindset, effective communication and networking in your own professional life.
Well, my growth started here. It started on this premises of the NBC some 27 years ago.
Wow.
When I entered on the 2nd of May 1997 as a trainee camera operator. A few years down the line, I will be joining the newsroom, serving there as a producer reporter before going to the heading up the legal department, serving as head of legal and company secretary for the NBC before going to Momentum Metropolitan. And now with the Namibia Revenue Agency where I am. It has not just been an upward growth, if you like.
Right.
It has also been a change of careers. I mean, I was a camera operator and a video journalist. I never studied for that, but I ended up in those capacities. I was a lawyer and head of a legal department at some point. I'm currently now borrowed to the marketing communication space. So it has really been a transition all around. And that's what we're going to share as to in some areas. And if you ask me what was really central to this, for me, it was the people that I was working with, the managers and the bosses that I reported to. For me, I think they really played a great role in that. And I think, as people would tell us, pay it forward. Yeah. All we can do is just to encourage others and ensure that we grow others in the process as well.
Yeah. Are there any follow-up resources or support systems that will be available for participants after the summit? Because that's also an important, aspect of initiatives and platforms such as this.
A key point that you're bringing forward. And now, as we were discussing to say, now this is what they're going to get from us. But what would people generally take with? What are the practical things that they would be going with? On the program, we've got a life coach. And the idea is to say, all of us need life coaches at some point. Mm-hmm. Whether it's for professional purposes or for your personal life, you need somebody to bounce ideas with, because that's what the coach does. Right. You really come and tell them what your issues and what you are thinking on. And what they help with is really the accountability part, because sometimes we agree on the things we want to do, because nobody's checking upon us, we neglect them. But the life coach actually prompts that and helps you to attain those things. And we're having somebody in the room who would be able to take up people that want to sign up for coaching and the like. And that's really a serious plus that we are seeing. And it's not something that he's going to start a day or after the session. It's something that he's already doing now, because there are other companies that have enlisted them. And for the purposes that they have enlisted them is when they onboard new managers, they give them to the coach so that he takes them through a process and prepares them. And as they now come into the what is expected as far as their job descriptions are, they would have also been receiving guidance from the life coach. So there is something that people can take away from the session and take with.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here this evening, and we wish you all the best for the seminar.
Thank you, and we're looking forward to the presence of the NBC. Kazembire and myself consider ourselves as the children of the NBC. Where we are identified as the NBC, and it will be good if we can see familiar faces in attendance as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. We come back with some more conversation after this brief break. Stay with us here on the Daily Roundup.